that were planted, seeds that were planted some time ago, and I wanted to just, some of you have not been at our church quite as long, and so I wanted to just share with you just a little taste of kind of the history and how this service really came to be. It wasn't just the kind of thing where somebody said, hey, let's start a contemporary service, and it just, boom, it happened. It was a labor of love, and it started in 1989. It probably started way before that because God ultimately knew that this was going to happen. We didn't know that, but the seeds were planted in our heart in 1999. And Jeff Schlichting is my good friend up here playing bass for us this morning, and he and I got to talking one day back in '99, and we said that, oh, hey Mom, my mom just walked in. Like, here you are. Anyway, so we got to talking, and we just found out that we just shared this love for you know, a different kind of worship, a contemporary worship, different music, and you know, we just kind of had this dream of, you know, wouldn't it be really cool? At that time, our church had two services. We had an 8 o'clock and a 10:30 in the sanctuary. This building didn't exist, and those of you that were around then, you may have remembered the Wesley House. There's a little house on Camp Street, about 2 blocks down, the house that sits on the corner of Camp and something or other, I can't remember the name. That house used to sit right where this building was. And this building had been a long dream of folks in our church. And so this building at that point was kind of a work in progress. There was a lot of fundraising that had gone on. There was a lot of, Tom Devaney was the senior pastor here then. The church had gone through a great deal of change and a great deal of fundraising trying to make this building happen. And so this building was kind of in the works. We had contractors. At some point that house got moved. This building started, you know, the plans, I guess, and the constructions got ready to start happening on this building. And so as Jeff and I talked about that, we went to a workshop in October of '99 about contemporary worship and what that meant and how you could implement that in your church. Jeff and I came back fired up, and we went to Tom Devaney. At that point, we knew there was no way our pastoral staff could take on anymore. They were really maxed out. And the idea of saying, hey, how would you like to do another service another day of the week? I mean, it just would have been really tough. It would have been really impossible at that point. So, so we just said, we went to Tom Devaney and said, hey, we've got this idea for a contemporary worship service. We'd like to do it once a month over at your Holster Hall. We'll set it up. It would be a lay-led service. You wouldn't have to do anything except just give us your blessing and endorse it. Just, you know, just kind of support it, help us. And you don't have to do a thing. You don't have to lift a finger for it. We'll do all the work. Here's our team. And so Jeff and Kim Schlichting were hugely instrumental in you know, getting this going too. My husband Rick was a humongous help. And then there were a whole team of people. Linda Duncan, and she played in the band, and with Jeff and Jeannie Coburn sang with us. Chris Coburn was hugely involved in the orchestrating of setups and everything else, and he did all kinds of behind-the-scenes work. And then there were a ton of other folks in our church. Keith and Nolan Robinson were hugely involved, as was Tom Dowdy, Nell Martin, Rosemary Davis, Susanna Hendricks, and Doug Copeland ran the board for us during our Sunday services. And so once a month we would get together, and that service was a totally lay-led service. We would have a theme, and whatever the theme was that week, we would have a speaker, and that they would speak on that message. Whatever the theme revolved around that week, whether it was forgiveness or whether it was worship or whatever the team decided it needed to be in the week. Whatever God had planted in our hearts during that time. There was dance, and there was a drama almost every service, and so we had teams of folks like Rosemary Davis that would help put these together. And so this service just turned into this very organic kind of worship, and it was creative and interesting, but it was also extremely labor intensive. And so when Tom Devaney moved on to Austin and Lonnie Phillips came in, you know, here we had some fresh perspective to come in and look and go, man, the service is really great. And at that point, the building was just about ready to be opened up. And he was kind of like, I don't know how you guys can maintain this week after week after week. I mean, he saw the labor intensity with the setup and tear down and just how much involvement and how many hours a week it took. And he's like, I don't know how you guys can continue to do a service that takes 20 hours of prep time for a 1-hour service. It was kind of our ratio between rehearsals and everything else. So that was kind of an interesting period of growth. So we took some months off in there. And Joy was J-O-I, and Jeff coined the name of the service just because he liked it. He had a piece of music in high school that he had played, and he saw that written, and he really liked the way it looked. And sometime down the line, in one of Nolan Robinson's talks during the service, she took that one step further, and she called Joy Jesus on the Inside. So that service evolved, and this building grew, and this building finally was ready to be open. And through a lot of prayer and a lot of discussion, we did a book study in there about contemporary worship. And eventually, through a lot of prayer and some new people came in. New folks came in. The Phillips came in. Susan Phillips came in, and she had a great musical talent and was able to really be a great contributor. We decided we wanted food in the service, and the Corleys, took that on, and we had food every service during seasons when seasons started. And so in February of 2003, a new service was brought to you, and Linda Duncan actually was the one that came up with the name Seasons. And so when you see her, she's kind of got a lasting little legacy in that. So that just gives you a little bit of a history of kind of how Seasons came to be. And though it was a labor of love leading up to it, I mean, it's great, and it was a wonderful history and wonderful to be a part of that. It's wonderful because as the seasons in our church and the seasons in our lives, we change and we grow and we evolve, and here we are, and our church continues to grow and to evolve, and we continue to bring new folks in. And so thank you for being a part of that, and thank you for letting us be a part of that. And would you please stand, and let's just sing our love. Over the mountains and the sea, your river runs with love for me, and I will open up my heart and let the healer set me free. I'm happy to be in the truth, and I will daily lift my hands, for I will always sing of when your love came down. I will sing of your love forever. 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 Over the mountains and the sea, your